Evening.
6 o'clock. So the work session for mayor and council for June 6 is called to order. I will begin with reading our mission statement, which is as follows. It is the mission of the City of Forest Park to enhance, strengthen, and grow our city by collaborating with our community to provide the highest level of service, striving to be recognized as a diverse community that values and respects all members. We will strive to provide fair, professional, and courteous service through transparency and open communication. As we work to achieve this mission, we will have integrity beyond reproach while employing fiscal discipline and innovation. In this work, there are no praises and raises for mediocrity. Ms. White, roll call, please.
Good evening. Roll call for June 6th. Councilmember James.
Present.
Councilmember Anton.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Good evening, everybody.
Councilmember Aiken Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor and council, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Dr. Cooper, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. City Manager's report for June 6th. Please be reminded that the state of Georgia and the EPD, that the City of Forest Park is under a burn ban. The summer open burn ban runs from May 1st to September 20th and includes 54 counties in Georgia. And the burn ban prohibits citizens and businesses from burning yard and land clearing debris. The rule is in addition to the year-round state ban on burning household garbage. So from our fire department, please be reminded that we are under a burn ban. So the Atlanta Regional Commission is currently in the process of updating the comprehensive economic development strategy for our region and would like your participation. You can visit the website, City of Forest Park, forestparkga.gov, and click on the banner at the top that says Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Survey and fill out the survey and let your voices be heard. So that is open to all to go on and fill out. On Monday, May 30th, MARTA Reach expanded into more areas in the City of Forest Park. While the current coverage, at that time under the area was 1.9 square miles, the expansion added another 7.5 square miles of the city. And for more information, you can reach out to www.itsmarta.com-reach. Under city operations, this is just a reminder that the city will be closed in observance of Juneteenth on Monday, June 20th. And that means our council meeting will be held Tuesday, June 21st. And please come out to our second annual Juneteenth celebration at Star Park on June 18th, starting at 4 p.m. It's going to be a lot going on. We have a lot of great things for families. Next on August 6th, from 12 noon to 6 p.m., the City of Forest Park Fire and Emergency Services will be hosting an open house at Station 1, and that's located at 4539 Jonesboro Road. The City of Forest Park Fire Department invites you to bring the whole family and enjoy the day festivities. Next, I would like to show off to council, to the residents, the City of Forest Park Police Department ongoing recruitment has stepped up its efforts to include a police vehicle with wrap advertisement on it. So what you see there is just a picture of one of the current police vehicles that will be out as we do our ongoing recruiting for our Forest Park, not only fire, but police department. And again, be reminded, our Champions of Forest Park video series showcase is on the website, and you can go out and view the latest video. Next, I'd like to give some shout outs in observance of the National Emergency Medical Services, EMS. The City of Forest Park commemorated National EMS Week, May 20th through the 24th. The city paid tribute to our first responders from the Fire and Emergency Management Department for their outstanding effort and dedication to the local community. And as part of EMS Week, the department hosted a special award ceremony to honor fire and EMS crews who performed outstanding assessments and treatments to our critically ill patients in the city. Next, I would like to welcome to our team our new Deputy City Clerk, Ms. Michelle Hood. Ms. Hood, can you please stand? Everybody see you. There you go. Ms. Hood joins us from the city of Fairburn and holds an associate's degree in banking and finance and a bachelor's in business. She has a total of 7 years' experience working with city and county governments, and we know she's going to be a great asset. She's actually already started to be a great asset for the city clerk's office. So welcome, Ms. Hood. And this, I love saying these things, but congratulations, Councilman Hector Gutierrez, on his appointment to the National Association of Latino Elected and Appointed Officials.
Thank you, Don. Thank y'all.
Remember, Councilman Gutierrez's 3-year terms begin June 25th, 2022, and concludes at the 2025 NALEO annual board meeting. So the organization was established in 1976. It's a 501c4 nonpartisan membership organization whose constituency includes the nation's more than 6,800 elected and appointed Latino officials. Also, congratulate Councilman Hector Gutierrez on being selected to be recognized by the Clayton County Board of Education for his service and outstanding partnership to the Clayton County Public Schools. He will receive a certificate of commemoration from the board during the board meeting on Monday, June 13th. So we had two great things.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Lastly. Sorry.
No, it's different.
Lastly, I would like to congratulate Mayor Angeline Butler on being honored by the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Mecca chapter. The annual event will be held on Saturday, June 11th. Each year, the chapter selects outstanding Black women in the community to honor for their impacts on the lives of others, both now and in the future. The chapter stated the importance of not only recognizing the high achievements of each other, but also present what the future can look like for young Black girls. This year, they will honor our own Mayor Angeline Butler, and the theme of the program is Women Lead, Be the Difference.
Nice.
And lastly, on May 7th, our own Mayor Angeline Butler will receive the Trailblazer Award from the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. So we had some great things happen on our council this week. And we do have some new staff that we would, besides for Ms. Hood, we do have some new staff that we'd like to introduce to council. Chief Clark.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The first employee is Tashay Briley. She comes to us as a staff assistant, and she also comes from the city of Fairburn. Our next employee is assigned to E911 as a dispatch communications. Her name is Lindsay Barrett. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Mayor, that's the city manager.
Excellent. Welcome aboard, everyone. Mr. Gelmini, you have the floor. He is going to provide our COVID update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Dr. Cooper. So as of June 6th, today, 2022, Clayton County has had a total of 59,580 cases of novel COVID-19 with 907 confirmed deaths. In the last week, between 5:30 and 6:05, there were 352 new positive cases in Clayton County as a total, which is a slight increase from last month. Case breakdown shows approximately 57.7% of those cases to be female and 41.1% to be male, with the remaining 0.2% to be unknown. Forest Park continues to make up approximately 8.8% of the county cases, which is a 0.1% decrease from last month. We do continue to show approximately 5 to 12 new cases per week, which still keeps us in the low category and low risk category in Clayton County. The age group of 30 to 39 currently shows the highest percentage of positive cases, with African Americans showing the highest positive case percentage, followed by unknown ethnicity, and then Caucasians, followed by other, and lastly, the Asian populations. 55% of county residents have received at least one dose of the vaccine, with 49% showing fully vaccinated. 54,299 citizens have also received the additional boosters that were recommended by the CDC, making up 19% of the population. All of this shows a total of 39% of Clayton County residents that are fully vaccinated with the additional dose. The 35 to 64 age group shows the highest vaccination rate. Countywide, there were 352 confirmed COVID-19 cases between 5:30 and 6:05. Of those cases, 133 were unvaccinated, 21 were partially vaccinated, 108 were fully vaccinated, and 90 were fully vaccinated with a booster. Of those, 11 unvaccinated, 3 fully vaccinated, and 1 vaccinated with a booster were hospitalized with no deaths reported. The CDC continues to encourage and recommend vaccinations and boosters for COVID-19, which are available through several means. The current recommendation for vaccines are anyone 5 years and older. The current recommendation for boosters is at least 5 months after receiving the final dose of the first series of the Moderna and Pfizer, or 2 months after receiving the single dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. A second booster dose is currently being recommended for people over the age of 50 with underlying medical conditions and should be administered at least 4 months after the prior doses have been received. To locate a vaccine site, contact your primary medical provider. You can also text your zip code to 438-829 or call 1-800-232-0233 to find local vaccine providers. Contacting your primary care physician or local pharmacy to see if they are giving vaccines and boosters, or you can also visit vaccines.gov. The Clayton County Health District is still giving vaccines based on their availability and are rotating their locations to allow for easy access around the county. They are requesting people wishing to receive a vaccine or booster to call and make an appointment at 678-479-2223 or visit www.claytoncountypublichealth.org. All of this information is also available on the city website under the Fire Department tab under COVID-19 information. If I may, you mentioned our awards that were given out. If I can have a minute, I'd like to explain that just a little and maybe list the names if that's okay. So the awards that were given out are in recognition from 2015 to 2018 when we were unable to host a good awards ceremony. The 2 awards that were given out were the Trauma Save Award as well as the Medical Save Award. The Trauma Save Award is given to members of the department with outstanding assessments and treatment of critically injured patients that without the interventions of EMS would not have survived that event. These include falls, vehicle accidents, industrial accidents, shootings and stabbings, and any other occurrence of injury. This award comes with a maroon ribbon that is to be worn and displayed on the uniform for a single save and a maroon and white ribbon for multiple. A medical save, very similarly, is given to members that performed outstanding assessments and treatment of critical ill patients. This can include things such as heart attack, stroke, sepsis. This is issued with a ribbon to be displayed on the uniform that is yellow and white for multiple. During this event, during EMS week, we were proudly able to give firefighter paramedic Smith a multiple medical save award, firefighter FAO, which is fire apparatus operator, Morris, a multiple medical, fire apparatus operator Barlow, a multiple medical, EMA coordinator Armstrong, a multiple medical, fire apparatus operator Landrum, a multiple medical, firefighter paramedic Cook, multiple medical, firefighter paramedic Oglesby, a multiple medical, firefighter AEMT Arana, multiple medical, fire apparatus operator Tant, multiple medical, fire apparatus operator Whitley, multiple medical. Myself, EMS coordinator Gelmini, received a single medical. Captain Hogan received a single medical. Lieutenant Gaskin received a medical award. Fire apparatus operator Daniel received a medical award. Lieutenant Loggins, as well as fire apparatus operator Busby, received medical awards. The Trauma Save Awards that were given out, firefighter paramedic Smith received a multiple trauma. Firefighter paramedic Chanel received a trauma save. Fire apparatus operator Flood received a trauma save. Fire apparatus operator Morris received a trauma save. Battalion Chief Flag received a trauma save. Captain Hogan received a trauma save. EMA Coordinator Armstrong received a trauma save. Firefighter Paramedic Cook received a trauma save. Fire Apparatus Operator Daniel received a trauma save. Firefighter AEMT Arana, as well as Fire Apparatus Operator Busby, also received trauma saves. It's a great opportunity to be able to recognize all these members. Thank you.
Question referring to that, is the city doing anything to recognize them for, I mean, I know they can go and get all the certifications and all this, but that's, to me, is huge. Like, I think the city should recognize them, those that are working hard to get certified so that they can better serve our community. So just a huge shout out to Chief Clemens and the entire fire department for everything that you all do, and to every one of those men and women of the fire department. Thank you so much. From the city? Yeah. Okay, I thought those were certifications that they got. Okay, perfect. Good, good.
Up
Thank you.
next, we have a presentation. The council review and consideration of the Indoor Air Quality Initiative, background and history. Following the guidelines of EPA's Clean Air in Buildings Challenge, the Indoor Air Quality Initiative sets forth to optimize indoor spaces and educate communities on the importance of better indoor air quality. The city manager was contacted by Ms. Felicia Davis, a Forest Park resident, regarding the Timilon Corporation donating a number of air purification systems to the city. The Timilon Corporation Senior Vice President George Negron went to the city manager, a grant award brought to the city manager a grant award notification letter on behalf of the IAQ initiative. This grant is to cover the full cost of installation of the EnvironClass air system and indoor air quality monitors within the city of Forest Park's municipality buildings and senior center. These systems have been installed within the classrooms of the Atlanta Public Schools. The city manager is seeking council direction on accepting this grant with the understanding that ongoing maintenance cost would be the responsibility of the city.
Madam Mayor, we do have the Senior Vice President, Mr. Negron here.
All right, sir, you have the floor.
I have one in my classroom. One of those.
Should I go?
Oh, yes, you have the floor,
Yeah,
sir.
good, thank you. Good evening. Well, a good part about it is incognito. We have a system actually in here today that was running on a medium speed, so it's protecting this room. I'm very honored to be here today. I was a part of many of these big installations from DC public schools to Chicago public schools to right in, hopefully in Atlanta public schools, where we deployed these systems. It's a DoD technology, so it was originally designed for the decontamination of biologicals and chemical warfare agents. It's a small space, non-invasive, doesn't require additional equipment or added resources to the city. The good part about it is they're very energy efficient, they're sustainable, and they do a lot more than the pathogen removal. Although our concern here today is the removal of pathogens and airborne contaminants, it also takes care of the mold, the mildew, the bacteria, and some of the odors. So I say today, this program is not only going to help protect the indoor spaces, we're also providing the indoor air quality monitoring and the community assessments to be able to provide that data back to you folks and also to DC for some future programs and some future grants. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have on the technology itself or the program.
Are you going to do a presentation?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do it.
Can you please state your name for the record?
My name is
please?
George Negron. I'm with Timilon Corporation. So the program itself was originally the inception of PPE experts in our company, Timilon Corporation. We've been in business for about 10 years, serving the armed forces, government entities. We were responsible for opening up about 150,000 classrooms during the pandemic. We're a US manufacturer, US made technology, headquartered in Bonita Springs, Florida, with manufacturing facilities in Iowa, Kansas, and Ohio. Our sole purpose is to help protect the indoor environments, no matter where we are. So in any enclosed spaces, with the removal of a patented cutting edge technology. So the grant requirements are very simple. There's actually little to no requirements other than we will provide some surveying data, some indoor air quality measurements. That data is given back to the city and it's not shared with the public. We're using the censoring data from the community, and such questions are, how comfortable do you feel with enhancements to the air quality? How do you their level of comfort or knowledge in air ventilation in general. We're taking that data back to add additional programs with some of the CARES Act money and ERSA funding from DC, so it can be brought back into the communities that need them the most. Here's a little bit of the steps. There was a pre-approval letter, which has already been submitted. It's signed. We visited the facilities and we've done our assessments of how many units. There will be a total of 25 units that will be spread out throughout the locations. We will set up the indoor air quality monitors. They're hooked up to an LTE, so we're not using any of the current infrastructure or Wi-Fi. Every month, we will provide an indoor air quality report, which will show the measurements of the particulate matter of 2.5, which is the most common particulate matter that can spread communal viruses. And then we will provide an actionable plan of how the air quality rates and benchmarks to the EPA Clean Air Standard Act and some other facilities that we have measured as well. So all that data can be used as proactive measurements to let the community know the good work that's being done, the amount of ventilation that's been increased, as well as, where we stand against other counties and other buildings of this size. We're working along the Clean Air for Buildings Challenge, which is a program that was initially laid out by the EPA in Washington. We're actually using the exact same framework. So beyond providing you a piece of equipment, we're also giving you the indoor air quality monitoring, and we're also providing the community advocacy and awareness. So we're going to be out giving the awareness materials and the advocacy in this neighborhood and many others throughout the state to educate people that it is safe to come back into the enclosed space, let them know the improvements done through ventilation, and also survey people along the way. That's the system itself. It's a non-invasive system made here in the US. It's about 15 by 15 by 19 inches. It has 3 stages of filtration. The first is our patented EnviroCleanse technology that works to attack and remove 99.9% of the mold, viruses, bacteria, and odors. Then you have a medical grade HEPA filter, and you have 2 9-watt germicidal UV bulbs. This has been third-party tested and validated, as well as carries a UL, CE, and all the safety requirements you would want to have it in a government building. Signage will be provided to let the community and everyone around it aware of what the technology is what's being done. Where we're handing out literature to occupancies. There's also some barcodes, QR codes that can be scanned. So it's not just about the solution. Once again, it's about the awareness of the community understanding what's being done. And then we'll be hosting some in-person community events to help educate folks on the importance of air ventilation and air quality. That's just a generic thing, but benefits of clean air. I think we all know the cleaner the air, the health studies that are tied to it. We're working with Atlanta Public Schools as well for the long-term community effects that these air systems have had in the classrooms as well as in DC. So we're hoping to make this a long-term project, not just here with other neighboring counties, let them know the effects that it's had on the building occupancy. And the grant occupancy is just a couple of surveys and the providing of the data. There's no other full-time requirements. As we spoke to the city manager, the maintenance is totally up to the city. It's not a requirement of the program. We will provide you the discounted rates for governments, but it is not a requirement to take this equipment, and the equipment will be property of yours as well. And here's some of the folks that we have worked with, just a short list of schools, the government municipalities that these systems are currently deployed in. Some resource links, which would also be shared with the occupancies and the visitors.
Is that it?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before I open it up for questions, I want to direct council to, there's a paper put on at your dais. It's how we're going to move forward with the questions and comments portion. Per the charter, everyone's allotted 3 minutes. If you choose to speak or not, that's fine. And then should the chair choose so, we go another round, but after everyone has gone. And so I'll open it up. Councilwoman James, do you have any questions or comments?
First of all, thank you, Ms. Davis, for bringing this to the city. I think this is a wonderful opportunity to enhance our quality of air. How long have you all been in business?
The technology itself is 2 decades. We've commercialized it for about 10 years.
And then on the requirements page, I think you said it's not mandatory, but it says once per quarter, we are to complete an online survey. Is that?
Oh, yeah, that's just an online survey questions on the benefits and some of these air ventilation questions. So that would be one of the requirements. I meant on so changing out the filters is not a requirement if you chose
So
to.
is that the survey that we will put together, or someone?
We would send an online link in the survey, yes. And it's about 10 questions.
And then your maintenance to maintain it, you said it's not required, but how much would the maintenance?
Sure. So the top cartridge is every 6 months, that's around $70, and the HEPA filter is every 2 years, and that's $100. So it's a very low cost when you compare about it. And if you look at treatment size for square footage, it's about $1 a square foot for what it can treat. When you look at some HVACs, that's normally around $150 a square foot for like a MERV 13 filter and maintaining it the same space.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Antoine,
Good job, Ms. Davis. This is a no-brainer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilman Antoine, Gutierrez.
Yeah, I teach in Atlanta Public Schools and I had one in my room. And you know, you can see the difference, you can feel it with the air. So I don't have any questions. I appreciate you, Ms. Davis, for bringing this to our city. And for the presentation, Mr. Negron, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much, Ms. Davis, for bringing this forward. I have a few questions because I noticed here it only says municipality buildings and the senior center, which we have other departments as well, like the jail, the fire department, the police department, the rec building, other buildings.
We covered those. So the police department, the rec building, the public works building, all the buildings on campus we covered.
Okay, and then what is the maintenance? I see it says the city would be responsible, but just wanted to know what the maintenance costs.
Absolutely. So the cartridges change every 6 months, and that's around $80, and the HEPA filter every 2 years, and that's the $100 change out.
So totally worth it.
Mhm,
Thank
absolutely.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Councilman Mears.
Yes, I got a question, a dual question. We're in the process of, I'm speaking, Mr. Cooper, changing the equipment in the building. Would it be a major changeover to once we adopt to get this equipment?
No, sir. We're changing the HVACs in the building. So this equipment is portable. It's just like a.
Oh, okay, I see.
And it's actually going to help along that process when you're doing that construction, and you're doing all of that. So it actually will
No
complement it.
interaction there.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Okay, just one question. What is you said you guys can take over the maintenance for a fee?
Yeah.
So
So,
what is that fee?
well, that's included in the cartridge and the change out. So that includes the change out and the disposal of it. So it's $80 for the cartridge and $100 for the HEPA filter.
So even if we maintain the ongoing maintenance of it, or does someone from your company come out if we?
Either or, and it wouldn't be a cost to do that
There's
since
no
we do a
cost.
lot of work in the area. So we can actually do that, or we can train staff to do it. It's very simple. So it doesn't require any disposal, any hazardous disposal, and it could be done within 5 minutes as well.
What's the average life of a
10
machine?
years.
10 years. Okay, excellent.
And it has a 5-year full warranty. That's a great question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Item 2, council discussion on adoption of short-term rental ordinance. Background and history. It is proposed that the city adopt an ordinance regulating short-term rental properties that are marketed through companies like Airbnb or Vrbo. This is partially in response to recently adopted legislation which requires those properties to pay the local hotel and motel tax. The city is in receipt of tax proceeds for properties that it has no record of. The proposed ordinance would require properties to provide appropriate information to the city in order for us to ensure that tax receipts are properly accounted for. It also establishes certain requirements to ensure that these properties do not become a nuisance to the city. All right, Councilwoman James.
There's not gonna be a presentation, or it's just what we read already? Okay, so my question has to do with page 26. Page 26 and page 29. Page 26 says, immediate, I'm looking at the last, what is it, section 9, 16.5. C. It says, acknowledgement and agreement that violations of this chapter may result in immediate termination of the agreement and eviction from the short-term rental unit. And I just want to have someone explain to me, what does that mean? I mean, when you say eviction of your short-term rental unit, in my mind, I'm picturing an individual that may have rented a home that may be from, I don't know, from another state or something, and they're creating loud noises or whatever the case may be. how are they gonna be, how is that process gonna work? Can someone explain that to me?
So the owner of the unit would sign that acknowledgement. And so it, basically they're agreeing up front that if there's any major disruptions and things of that sort, and the examples that most people have come to mind are these Airbnb parties where they'll rent out a home through Airbnb and throw a big party and, you know, have the police come out and all that sort of stuff. In that scenario, if that were in Forest Park and we had to come out and noted the violation, then we could kick everybody out, essentially.
Okay, and that's, I mean, that we, by law, I guess we could just do that if that's,
Well, yeah, they're acknowledging up front that that's the arrangement that will be in place.
okay. Okay, the other one I have is on page 29. And really, I just want to have a, explain to me how the hotel and motel tax works.
So we are authorized to impose a local hotel motel tax on, you know, obviously hotels, motels, et cetera. Last year, the General Assembly adopted legislation essentially requiring short-term rentals through Airbnb, Vrbo, et cetera, that they collect and remit the hotel motel tax to the city. And it's a percentage. It's I believe we're at 6%, but I have to double check. But 6% is an additional tax placed on the rental rate that's remitted to the city. And that's what sparked this issue, is because we were getting checks from Airbnb, but we couldn't relate that to any particular property because we had no record of it. And we were back and forth with Airbnb on, well, you need to give us more information. And this was an initial attempt to address that. So we're requiring them to register up front. And now when we collect the taxes, we're going to be able to match, or the hope is we'll be able to match the tax with the particular unit that's being rented.
And then finally, Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
I read somewhere where it was talking about the advertising of the property, I guess it is. Is that who we're targeting or how we're targeting? I guess my question is, how will we know what residential home has a unit that's they're renting?
So there's two parts to this. One of it is sort of self-regulation. So we're this honor system, we're relying on owners to self-report. But to the extent that it doesn't, then we will have to take some steps, whether we're monitoring those web pages where they're advertised or other steps. You know, a lot of times code enforcement will hear because of complaints or whatever, and they'll identify these units. But that a combination really of those three, that there'll be an initial ramp up of trying to identify all these locations. And as everyone knows, you know, they can pop up overnight. Just, you know, if someone decides, you know, they're going to be out of town for the summer and they want to lease out their home for a few months, then they can register through Airbnb. But the process will be that, you know, they also have to register with us.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez?
Yeah, just so for the record, I think also Airbnb, like they are the ones that figure the fee out. The person as a renter, you don't really have to, they automatically tack on that tax themselves to the buyer. So we don't have to track anybody down. Yeah, I forgot what my question was. Can I come back? I
Come back
don't,
around.
okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Wells?
No.
Councilman Mears?
Oh, maybe it's just,
Councilman Gutierrez? Okay, well, you still don't remember. All right. So I believe when we discussed this earlier today, so for me, the application fee is $150. And to me, that is low. But I do understand that the fees that the city assesses to various entities and will be brought back to us for review. And this will be one of them.
Yes, ma'am.
So, but the language for the motion would include, you have to say it again, but then the penalty portion of it as well, correct?
Well, the penalty, that's already spelled out, but I believe we wanted to amend the language related to the fee to establish it initially at 150 or such other rates as regularly established by council by resolution. So we just need to add that, and, you know, assuming it's the will of the council to adopt this, I will remind you all to add that language.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes, I remember. So I, talking to one of the council members in the city of Morrow, they were telling me that, I just inquired about some of their events and how they found funding for them. And she told me that certain events were funded through, because of the hotels and proper, like taxes for the Airbnbs and hotels, they had like a separate account where they had, you know, their initiative of Visit Morrow and just like tourist Morrow tourism. So that could be something that we can, you know, also implement money towards some things that would attract people and vendors here.
Item 3, council discussion and approval of Waste Pro contract. Background and history. Waste Pro was a top-ranked bidder in the city's recent request for proposals for solid waste collection and disposal. Over the past several weeks, city staff has been negotiating final terms of the contract. The final negotiated contract is attached. Among the key provisions are the following. With the exception of recycling, the waste collection requirements are substantially similar to the services provided under our existing contract with Waste Management. Waste Pro will be responsible for establishing an education program informing residents and businesses of all the services to be provided under the contract. There will be 4 clean sweep events each year for residents. Elderly and disabled residents will still be provided backdoor pickup if requested. Waste Pro will be required to establish a dedicated customer service call center to receive complaints from customers. Complaint information, including an effort to resolve such complaints, must be shared with the city. A key improvement from the existing contract is the introduction of liquidated damages. Section 6 establishes set fines for certain failures of Waste Pro to meet the service standards expected of it. The fines increase if the violations continue. For example, if Waste Pro fails to collect at a residence and does not correct the problem by the next business day, $150 is deducted from the city's bill for that month. The amount increases for each occurrence to $300 if the failures continue per the terms, if the failure continues per the terms of the contract. A significant difference in the existing contract is that recycling services are no longer provided. There are a number of reasons for this. A, the cost per ton for recycling is significantly higher than the cost per ton of regular waste. B, the city's experience with recycling has been poor given the amount of contamination in the recycling bins, resulting in the majority of what was meant for recycling to be rejected and sent to the regular solid waste stream. And C, the current market for recycling has made it cost ineffective. A significant number of neighboring jurisdictions have also eliminated recycling. Until the market changes, the cost of recycling outweighs the benefits. Staff believes this contract to be a significant improvement over our existing arrangement with Waste Management.
We do have representatives of Waste Pro here for council if they have any questions.
Those from Waste Pro, can you please come to the mic?
Good
Hi.
afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thank you
Yes.
for the opportunity to appear before you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Councilwoman James? Yes,
I apologize. My name is Bob Walk.
Councilwoman James?
Okay, so Madam Mayor, I actually have a number of questions.
We could do a second round.
Okay, so, my recommendation at this moment is that we table this because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get all the questions answered in this setting. Let me just tell you why. One of the things that disturbs me is the recycling. I think that we're going backwards to not include recycling. So I would actually like to see the proposal to include recycling. I know that one of the reasons why we put the contract out in the first place was the liquidated damages. And I don't know if this is the appropriate time to address this now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right, is the liquidated damages, because I believe our current vendor wanted to not utilize liquidated damages based on the current contract, so we put it out for bid. So my question would be, the first question I would have is, with these liquidated damages that Waste Pro is agreeing to do we also have that conversation with our current provider for liquidated damages?
Yes, we did, Councilwoman.
And
We actually gave our current vendor the first option to actually come back and discuss that, and they chose to allow us to just go through the procurement process.
no, that's what I'm asking. In the procurement process, I understand because I remember the message that you sent to us saying that we were gonna go into the RFP process because of the liquidated damages. So what I'm asking now is, when you went through the procurement process, did you allow for the liquidated damages conversation to be had with our current vendor?
Yes, that was part of the RFP, but the difference here is that we went to our current vendor to negotiate before we even went to RFP. We wanted to talk to them to try to see if we could mitigate that or amend the contract or whatever, because we felt that that probably would have been a little bit less disruptive at that point. The current vendor declined to discuss those and said that they would welcome participating in the RFP process. So that's why we went forward with the RFP process.
Okay. So you all know that my big thing is recycling. And you probably don't know that, but that's my big thing, recycling. And I remember years ago, and of course,
Get your question out.
okay. That when we first learned that our recycling was contaminated, that I think Jeff Eady was the director at the time. We talked about education. We talked about making people aware that how to recycle, how to do things better. And I know that we get $10,000 annually for education, although I haven't seen any of that education. So I'm a big pusher for this recycling piece. So I don't want to move forward with a contract that does not include recycling. And so there are some other things that are concerning also about the, I think there was a cost that will be associated,
Okay.
added
I
on
wanna
to
ask
our,
you- Hang on to that.
okay.
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Antoine,
No question.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yeah, I am also agreeing with my colleague. I can't I would have, there's other municipalities that recycle. It's not like we're trying to invent something new. And this is not you, of course, sir. I think this is what fit the proposal. I just I can't consciously make that decision knowing that I'm gonna, I'm not contributing to making provider greener spaces or just contaminating. So I would really like to see a proposal with the recycling as well.
Councilwoman Wells.
So I'm not big on recycling. You do it, you don't, although it's a great thing. But I have to say that with waste management, and everybody knows I'm not a huge fan of waste management when it comes to being in Ward 4. but I don't feel like waste management is all bad at the same time. And I feel like some things can be worked out. And I know recycling is one of the things we were talking about. Because my issue is, although some want to recycle, some don't, the complaint was that the recycling materials were ending up in the same place as the trash. So we need to figure that part out before we say we just want to recycle, because just because we're recycling doesn't mean we're really recycling. So I would say table this as well. I would rather work, and it's crazy that I'm saying that. I can't even believe I'm saying it, but I would rather work with waste management and come to a compromise, than to just move on to the next. So yeah, I have to agree with my colleagues. I would be in favor of tabling it or just keeping who we have and working through the differences and coming up with something better.
Councilman Mears?
I don't have this.
So, do we currently have recycling? No?
Madam.
Yes, ma'am.
So we don't currently do recycling, although we have a recycling day. And the big thing that happened a few years ago was our recycling was too contaminated it got rejected. So they were no longer accepting the City of Forest
Yes, I
Park's
remember.
recycling because of the rejection. My thing was, let's educate our residents on recycling. And just a few weeks ago, we had Earth Tomorrow here today that even proved how educating people to let them know what can and cannot go in those recycling bins is helpful. And because we get an annual $10,000 annually to do that education piece, we need to utilize that. And so to answer your question, no, we're not doing recycling now, but it is currently something that we are paying for right now.
So where we are right now, if the council wants to table or go back to the drawing board with waste management, because there was a piece about the fines that was a major issue with waste management, from what I understand. I guess ultimately, of course, it is the council's decision, but in this limbo phase, because when does waste management contract expires?
The end of the month.
And we still haven't come to terms with their 6-month extension.
We have a draft agreement and that hasn't been finalized, but it's been shared and there's been some feedback, but we're not all the way there.
All right, you have something else to say?
Yeah, I put a little star by this last piece that in the agenda, it says the fees for commercial waste are set forth in Exhibit B. They represent significant increases over the existing rates. And so this to me could be very costly for our current business owners. And so if there is a significant increase in the commercial waste, I don't want to drive businesses away because we got to increase. And I don't want to increase what the city has to pay either. So that's a big thing too.
Councilman Antoine? Councilman Gutierrez?
Yeah, I like the part of the cleanups or initiating cleanups. And also I think, whoever has the best offer, it's just a capitalism. So I think whoever has the best offer is who we should go with. These are taxpayer dollars, so it's for our people. I do want to say that the recycling is essential to me because, like we had mentioned before, we never also as a city, I remember the old director of Public Works had some idea where he was going to tag some bins. We never did anything. So we never really, if we take a shot and try to educate the community and then it fails, then, we can come back and say, okay, we're wasting money on this and it's not happening. Our community's not buying in, but we don't have that yet because we haven't tried it. So I'm all about the education also to our people.
Councilman Mears?
What does the city manager feel about this?
I take my direction from the council.
Come on, that is a cop-out.
I mean, honestly,
You support a group?
well, when I do support it, and I do know that these are questions that we had discussions with Waste Pro. These are discussions that, we had in depth. And, there are items in both proposals, which is what, council hired us to do, is to do the RFP, go through the proposals, look, come up with the best, what we thought would be the best for the residents, and then bring that toward to council. We felt that this contract that we negotiated was best for residents. We know that there is an increase, but there's an increase all across the board. There's an increase in waste management. There's an increase, across the board with everything. So, I support this, but again, I take my direction from council. So.
Thank you.
I would point out that we did discuss options of recycling with the city during our negotiations, and those options are still available. So if the
Yes,
city's
those options
desire-
are still available, and it would increase the price again by almost $46 per household. Which again, at this point, the rates that we have now, we felt that as a city, we could move forward without those increases, and we do have options in the contract that we could come back and renegotiate with Waste Management as the way with Waste Pro, the way we pay, that could possibly come into a reduction or not, because it depends on the tonnage. Our tonnage proposal was very high for our city as far as garbage that we do. And we had to go off the RFP from the previous contract that we did with Waste Management because we couldn't get the data to show what the actual tonnage was. But our tonnage cost for not only our waste, but for, bulk items and everything, it was extremely high for our city. And we felt that, with the data we had, we did the best contract we could with the open options with Waste Pro, the city attorney, myself and Mr. Jinks, to come back to the table and renegotiate that after a year of collecting that data.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4, council discussion and approval of waste management contract extension. Do we need to go through this since we,
So I just wanted to point out, excuse me, that the description that was published on the agenda was preliminary because we hadn't really had a meeting of the minds with Waste Management. But where we are now, we have shared with them a proposal that would extend our existing contract out through the end of the year, through December 31st, at their RFP quoted rate. There would be an increase. Those were the terms that were requested by Waste Management for the extension. What we added and what hasn't been agreed to, if you will, is a buyout of the contract, because we're not sure how long the transition will be between or would be if you were to change between Waste Management to Waste Pro. And so we initially asked for 120 days. They came back with 6 months, but now we agreed to the 6 months at the staff level, but there would be a buyout if the transition can occur earlier. But that last piece is what's still being negotiated, if you will.
right, Councilwoman James?
So I'm looking, Mike, is this the email that was sent out with a proposal? That's what we are voting on?
That was what we would ask you to consider, subject to some modification based on whatever feedback we get from Waste Management. But yeah, the email that went out had a draft contract extension along with a revised description of the contract, which I just basically spoke to.
Okay, so and without me having it in front of me, I'm just gonna go on memory. So the contract that we're trying to extend would be for 6 months, and it would be whatever the RFP rate was that was quoted. Will that include continued um, recycling, even though the recycling piece at this point is contaminated. But if we can do the education piece or whatever, it does include the recycling.
It does. The services don't change such as they are.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Antoine, Councilman Gutierrez, Councilwoman Wells, Councilman Mears. All right. Item 5, IGA Intergovernmental Agreement with Joint Crime Suppression Team. Background and history. Based on violent crime rates increasing across our cities, a joint crime suppression team would be ideal to call upon when assistance is needed in our neighboring municipalities. This task force will provide consolidated police action to target drug crimes, gang activity, and violent crimes that occur throughout the county, irrespective of jurisdictional boundaries. Chief Clark.
Once again, though, we've kind of talked about a force multiplier. Chiefs in the Clayton County area, we've had various meetings to talk about the creation of the crime suppression team to focus on various violent crimes, not only in our city, but throughout the Clayton County area. So we come before you tonight to ask for your approval to sign off on this agreement.
All right, Councilwoman James. Councilman Antoine,
No brainer.
Councilman Gutierrez, Councilwoman Wells, and Councilman Mears. Thank you. Item 6, council discussion on approving courtware software Justice One. Background and history. We are requesting to switch from our current court solution, Central Square One Solution IJS, to Justice One courtware solution. There are numerous benefits to switching from Central Square One Solution IJS to Justice One courtware. Justice One courtware will save the department time and increase our overall efficiency in processing citations, docket preparation, and an overall municipal court duties. One Solution IJS is antiquated, and it is extremely difficult to obtain software support from Central Square. When using One Solution, the steps that we have to take to complete the process from the initial citation entry to the disposal of the case is manual and time-consuming. We have been experiencing issues with uploading the citations from Central Square to IJS. For months, we've manually entered each citation into IJS. The process could take an entire day to complete. As of today, Central Square has not been able to identify the issue. The Justice One courtware solution will allow our department to perform in a more efficient and effective way to serve the citizens of Forest Park. Oh. But I know, so if approved, the courts will be removed from the police department.
That's true.
So Judge Freeman on board with this?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm going to ask our clerk's manager if she'll come up and then she can elaborate a little bit more.
Yes, I am here to answer any questions you have in reference to courtware. So what we're currently using, like I said, is the One Solution IJS. When I was here the first time, we were also using that same technology. There has not been any updates since then. And so we've run into a lot of issues with the program not operating properly, not being able to identify anyone with that particular company that can assist us because of the technology being antiquated. The people that support it barely knew what we were talking about when we were requesting assistance. So we did talk or identify or research a couple of the different courtware systems that the municipalities are using in Clayton County. And overwhelmingly, they are all using courtware. I also branched out to other counties to see what courtware services or systems that they were using, also courtware. With courtware, we will have the ability to move from manually entering citations. Right now, I have a staff, myself and 2 other clerks. And for the weekend, for example, we had about 50 tickets. It takes 1 clerk all day to enter those 50 tickets. And that was on a pretty low end citation intake for a weekend. But like for Memorial Day weekend, I think we had over 100. and we're having to manually do that. But with Courtware, a lot of the things that we need to do will be more automated. For example, we could just push a button and all of those citations will be uploaded. So the only thing we would have to do is just validate them, make sure what the information that the officer had matches what we have for court. It will also assist us with attaching the criminal histories and the driver's histories. There's also a solution that's already built into Courtware that will allow us to do that. Right now, what we have to do is kind of tax our 911 people on the weekends to run our criminal histories for us because we don't have the ability to do so ourselves. So with this particular system, we'll save a lot of time, a lot of energy, because we're doing everything manual and it is very cumbersome.
Thank you. Councilman James?
Thank you.
Gutierrez?
The cost is $25,000.
Yes, and that's for the annual licensing, training, and all that. What we're paying for now is pretty equivalent to that, and we're not getting any support. You know, so we got to pay for the system either way, at least have one that's operating properly.
And that is annually, Councilman, and the upgrade to that is actually in the budget for the court, because as you know, we are looking at splitting the court from the PD.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you have anything, Councilman Mears?
Oh, I think it's
All right,
straight
thank
up
you.
for it. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that puts, so yeah, we are right on time for our regular meeting to begin. So I'm going to ask if we can have a motion to adjourn the work session.
Don't move.
That was Councilman Mears. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman James, all in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. So we have our regular meeting for mayor and council is called to order. And I will read our mission statement. It is the mission of the City of Forest Park to enhance, strengthen, and grow our city by collaborating with our community to provide the highest level of service, striving to be recognized as a diverse community that values and respects all members. We will strive to provide fair, professional, and courteous service through transparency and open communication. As we work to achieve this mission, we will have integrity beyond reproach while employing fiscal discipline and innovation. In this work, there are no praises and no raises for mediocrity. Next, we will have the invocation followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, and we have Pastor Durham. To all those who are able to stand, can you please do so and remain standing throughout the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let us pray together. Father God, we thank you for another opportunity to come together as a city and to do the business of the city. We invoke your presence among us, and we thank you for your grace and mercy in our lives. We just pray, Lord, that you would give wisdom to the leaders of our city. We thank you for the positions you put them in. And we ask that you would guide them, and we ask that all that is said and done in this place, we would give you honor and glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. White, roll call, please.
Roll call for Monday, June sixth, regular meeting. Councilmember James.
Present.
Councilmember
Good
Anton.
evening, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Present.
Councilmember Aiken Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Mears.
Here.
Mayor and council, you have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, our public hearing. Council discussion on our public hearing, the second reading for fiscal year 23 financial budget ordinance. Background and history. The proposed funded dollar amount of the fiscal year 2023 budget is $34,687,288. And the full fiscal year 23 budget can be viewed on the city's website by clicking the link. Below. Yeah, where is it? Over here. An ordinance by the City Council of Forest Park, Georgia, to adopt the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, to provide for an effective date and for other purposes, be it ordained by the mayor and council of the city of Forest Park, and it is hereby ordained by the authority of same that. Okay, so per our charter, for all of our public hearings, we have 10 minutes allotted per side. So those who are in favor of, everyone collectively has 10 minutes, and those that want to speak against have 10 minutes collectively to speak against about the ordinance or the budget. So we will start by those in favor of the current ordinance. You can line up at the podium and you have 10 minutes collectively.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have to go into a public hearing? Do we have to make a motion to go into a public hearing?
Oh, yeah, we do. All right, thank you. So is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and enter into our public hearing for the discussion of the second reading of the fiscal year 23 financial budget?
So move.
Councilwoman James, is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? Thank you. So now the public hearing is officially open. So anyone who wants to speak in favor of the budget can line up at the podium. If there aren't none. Okay, wait, come on. That's right. Is there anyone who wants to speak out against
Can I stand up for or against? I want to know what it's about first.
the
You're
budget?
saying the
Wait,
budget is
hold on.
about the money, right? So
Wait,
what,
what's your, you want to speak on the budget?
yeah, I want to ask a question about the $34,687,087, $288. Now, what does that pay for? Is that budget for events? Is that budget for employees? What is the budget? What is that money used for?
Budget has been online for.
Okay,
about a
well, I'm
week or
asking
so.
you
Okay,
now.
Ma'am,
Okay, that's all I'm
that's
just
right.
asking.
Okay, this is what we're not going to do. I'm
Oh.
answering your question.
Okay.
It has been online. The budget entails everything for all of our departments. So legislative down to police, all inclusive.
So it's just 34,000?
It's 34 million.
Oh, 34 million. Okay, my bad. 34 million. Okay, I just wanted to know what it was for, what the money was being spent for. And I looked at it as 34,000. That's what shocked me. So that was my bad, 34 million.
Thank you.
I stand in opposition. And my reason is, as I reviewed it, and you're right, it's been online for some time. My opposition was when I studied the budget, I saw that the finance department had, how would I put this? Much more allowance to do operation than our public service police department. And I couldn't understand why in-house financial institution was budget to have excess budget to do much more than our public service police department. In other words, you have it, or you want me to tell it again?
Well, no, I think I got it, but police, I believe you're broken down into like 3 different sections, correct, Chief? And so maybe you're looking at, like, I know EMS is one
Right.
section and then et cetera, et cetera. So maybe you're looking at one of the subsections of the
Okay.
entire police department's budget.
It's nothing wrong with a question.
I know.
Okay, so I appreciate that, and then tonight I make it my point to print it, to watch it. But I just had a question with that, due to we just, got rid of our executive director of the finance for wrongful doing. And I didn't want to have anything that would reflect from coming over to this operation to reflect on public service, a passion of mine, just like recycling is. And anything affect the police from coming to all our aid, I'm going to stand for it. Okay, so I yield my time back.
All right, thank you.
Is it possible for you to pull it up? I can't, and I would really appreciate hearing any major changes if you can do that. And I think most of us, we kind of want to go with you, but I'm just now trying to pull it up. I can glance quickly, but somehow I keep getting the error.
Well, Dr. Cooper was gonna go over the budget once we close out the public hearing for the council portion of it during the regular meeting. Is there anything else? Anyone else?
Do y'all
Okay.
think, I have a question.
Wait, let me open up does it have to do with the public hearing?
Mhm.
Okay.
No, I was just wondering if some people hadn't seen it, would it be better to go over it so that they can know if they want to speak in opposition or in favor? Would it be good to go over it before the hearing is over with? Just for transparency? I mean, because then they would know whether they want to speak in favor of opposition. You can't really say if you haven't seen it. And I know it's been online, but everyone's not online.
What? No, this is it. Okay, well, I'm gonna maintain my position, and so we could pull it up so they could follow along as Dr. Cooper is going through the budget. Now, is there a motion to close out the public hearing and reconvene into our regular session?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Item 2, council adoption of the fiscal year 2022 through 2023 annual budget ordinance 22-11. Background and history. The annual budget for the city for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023 is $34,687,288. The budget includes all revenues and expenditures for governmental and enterprise purposes as detailed in the accompanying budget documents herein incorporated is hereby adopted in accordance with Georgia law. Dr. Cooper.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This year's budget actually encompasses all operations for the city of Forest Park, including the 7% pay increase for all employees, the 15% that was given to public safety, police, and fire, and bringing all current city employees to a minimum starting pay of $17 within the city. When you look at this, the projected revenues for our city, and we looked at basically everything that came in, and we actually used
Excuse
budget to
me.
actual. I'm sorry.
No, excuse me. I have to step in.
We actually use budget to actual numbers. If you look at the current projected summary sheet, you have our revenues, our transfers from the sanitation fund, and our use of fund balance for fiscal year 22-23. That totals to $34,687,288. The biggest change that has happened within the budget this year is that we were able to go in and true up the numbers for salaries. When we actually went in and we took a deep dive into looking at salaries, we did find that several departments' salary lines were way over budget, which allowed us to recapture that money and reallocate that monies throughout the budget. That actually helped us reduce our fund balance to about $836,000. And for those who don't know, fund balance is the savings. And that was reduced from 2.9 million the previous year. So that tells you how much money we were able to recapture and reallocate within our budget. The legislative offices, all the way down to our public works maintenance department, it tells you basically what we proposed, what was approved, for 21-22, and what is being requested for 22-23, along with the variances. There were a number of departments where you actually see the numbers in parentheses that show reductions in those departments, but those reductions came from, again, a lot of it, some of it salaries, some of it was actually cutting out different programs or different items to reallocate that money elsewhere. So when you go down and you really look at what we were doing is we went line by line, myself, our new finance director, our deputy finance director, and the departments, we went line by line looking at what was being spent in the budget for this fiscal year. And everyone that's come to the meetings on a regular basis knew every quarter, we did present to council a quarterly budget update to show where our spending was going for the year. We had some departments that were very over budget, meaning that there was a lot more money allocated to the department that was even being spent in the department. So what we did is we took that money and reallocated the money throughout other departments. Some of the major changes that you see, I know that Dr. Falami, you did speak about police services. Again, that was one of those departments that had a lot of money that was allocated that wasn't being spent. So we were able to reallocate some of those funds, which basically 100% funded the department. But again, some of those funds that were unspent from the previous year, we were able to remove and reallocate to other departments. But however, when you look at police services, that not only incorporates police services, but E911 as well as animal control. Same thing with fire, EMS services, firefighter services, and emergency services. One of the biggest changes you see with a lot of the funds being taken away is that we actually developed a separate capital improvement budget. So you see a $2 million reduction in PD, but that doesn't mean $2 million was taken away. We moved that money under a different budget for capital improvement, which totals everything here to give you that. If you look down at the bottom of that list there, the last two lines, you'll see the total general fund request of $32,428,193. And you'll see a capital improvement budget request of $2.259,096. So that's where you come up with the entire budget of $34,687,288. I don't know if council would like to go through department by department, but that's the overview that I was looking to prepare for the budget. I'll be here to answer any questions individually.
Councilwoman James.
Yes, so just a couple of comments that I wanted to make regarding the budget, and also some clarification that I want to make sure that I understand regarding the budget as well. So in our IT department, I'm very pleased that we are looking to have Wi-Fi in Star Park.
Yes, ma'am.
That's a huge plus addition to our budget. Also in our recreation and leisure department, the additional funding that was needed for Director Maxwell to continue on expanding his programs. That's something that was increased in the budget. Very happy about that. Questions I have related to the courts forming, that is a new budget item that's also included, and that's forming our courts department. I know that there are some new positions. And so my question is, do we have those new positions, new titles, job descriptions, et cetera, for the courts? And then I also had questions about our fire and EMS. I wasn't clear on what the new titles were going to be, as well as the new positions. So I want to make sure that we get clarity on those positions as well. Make sure we have job titles and job descriptions and et cetera that's needed for that as well. And then the final thing was to do with the police department. I'm excited about new police vehicles that we will be getting, so our officers will not be riding on springs. That is something that's in our budget also. But the gang and drug unit, I know that required new positions. So I know it's under the capital overlay projects, but I was kind of wondering, does that capital overlay project include positions? Can that
So,
include positions?
and I can speak on that, Councilwoman. So let's start with police first.
Okay.
With police, we did add the monies back for the creation of a narcotics and gang unit that included 5 new positions.
Okay.
And that does not include the 46 vacancies, but that includes 5 new positions. Okay. So with that said, that was added back to the budget.
Okay, and I'm sorry
Go ahead.
to interrupt.
Yes, ma'am.
So does that also entail the new titles and positions and job descriptions and all that?
Yes,
stuff
ma'am.
that's
That,
included?
that's all included in that gang unit
Okay.
proposal that chief actually requested. With the fire department, we added no new positions to the fire department. What the fire department had is request for reclassifications. They did request new positions, but currently there are 24 vacancies in the fire department that they're currently trying to fill. And what we did is there are some reclassifications, such as Chief Clemens, Emergency Management Coordinator, Fire Marshal, Deputy Fire Marshal, Division Coordinator. So those positions would be reclassified. Don't add any more money to the budget, but just a title change. And those, we do have those those job descriptions, those title changes currently in our line of open positions
Okay.
within the city. As far as IT is concerned, we have one new positions. We've added only 3 new positions besides what we added a total of 8 new positions in this new budget. However, 5 of those positions are for PD. 2 of those positions are for recreation and leisure. And 1 of those positions are for the IT support tech senior position. So those are the only new positions that are added to the budget. And I think I got all of your questions unless you had.
We'll circle back around.
Okay,
Councilman
thank you.
Antoine,
No, ma'am.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yeah, really happy with the budget. We had the retreats. I think that were very successful. We got to hear from other directors. They got to ask for a lot. And then Dr. Cooper had to reel everybody in and really kind of let us know what we can afford and what we can't. It was a really good experience to hear from all of them and their needs. My only disappointment lies with just all the events that we lost. Mainly the cultural celebrations. I think that as a city, we have to embrace all the people that live here, and just getting rid of them, I don't think was a good solution. I felt like we should have talked like adults and, elected officials that we are, and came up with a solution to see if, some marketing guidelines, to see a problem that was coming up was people's faces on the flyers, stuff like that. So maybe if we could have just fixed that, I felt like we could have, or make them city of Forest Park events if, they're funded by our city. I personally didn't have a problem with that. I was shocked when at first I was supposed to put my name on events. I felt like as a city, we need to embrace our people. We need to have these staple events like our neighbors do in Morrow, who have way less people than us and a smaller budget than we do, yet they embrace everybody and their whole community. So I admire them for that. Unfortunately, we're not doing that currently with no cultural celebrations. Not to bash Director Maxwell and everything. He does amazing at doing everything he does. But I wish that we embrace these celebrations like other cities do. Even after going to that board retreat, when 2 of the chairs were here and we heard from the experts that these community events are what bring the community out. They help us bridge that gap where we can actually talk to them and meet them where they're at, especially when they're of different nationalities and cultures. So, it is what it is. Hopefully our council can see the importance of these events, because as new upcoming events, it's hard. I personally, as a full-time teacher, I don't have time to go and talk to people like that. I really don't even know people that have money like that to throw at events like this. I wish, we just did it as a municipality. So that's the only issue I had. Other than that, it was a good experience to be up here with my colleagues and talk about everything and listen from the director. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilman Wells.
Yes, I'll piggyback off of what Councilman Gutierrez said. I had a few questions as far as I was trying to get it, so I won't forget. As far as the police and fire, you said we added 5, there's 46 vacancies in police and 24 in fire. And we added 5 new positions to the police department.
Yes, ma'am, for the gang unit that was requested at the retreat be back in.
Okay, so my question is, so the 46 vacancies that we currently have, it was no way to include some of, hold on, I'm trying to make sure I'm saying it right. It was no way to include change some of those titles instead of just adding 5 new positions. Am I making sense?
Yes, those 46, those 46 vacancies are throughout the entire department, so they're not all just officers on the street.
Okay.
So the 5 new positions that are being requested, are being requested specifically to operate the gang and narcotics unit.
Okay. Okay. And so, to add to what Councilman Gutierrez was saying, I'm all for the budget, the way it is. We received, and just because I'm transparent and I like to keep it real with the public, we received a letter, and everyone knows that Councilman Gutierrez does a lot. And he's doing more than me. Like right now, he has a lot of things going on, with his name on it, with the City of Forest Park sponsoring. And as well as myself, we do community events that the community loves. And so to hear people talk about taking the events out of the budget like that is baffling to me. Because again, these are the taxpayers' dollars, and the taxpayers enjoy these events regardless of who's initiating them. And so I agree with him as far as sitting down like an adult and talking about these things, because it's about the community. It's not about anyone personally. So because it's Councilwoman Wells in the City of Forest Park, that's an issue, then we want to take it out the budget. So we're just totally disregarding the community, because these are events that the community takes advantage of. And I actually had a talk with the mayor when we had the budget meeting, and was, saying, well, why don't you all come to some of these events? Why don't you come out? It doesn't have to be about one person, but that's all the people see, and then people initiate it. It's everywhere. It's all across the state of Georgia, all across the county. You see, we have signs up right now. I think we just got an email about somebody putting out signs on our stop signs. They do it everywhere. So I don't understand why it's an issue other than being personal, why we would take something from our community. And so Councilwoman James, Councilman Antoine, and Councilman Mears all signed this letter. And they basically said they want to put a marketing and promotion policy for events, as well as identify other funding sources. And our award project should remain the same. That's our award money that we do other things with. And basically is to say that each member who does events in the city need to find their own way to pay for it. And I think that's very distasteful. I think it's a slap in the face to the community, because before some of us got on the council, the City of Forest Park was dead. It was nothing to do. It's still really nothing to do other than attend some of these events that we have. So to take that away from the community because people feel personally about somebody or don't like somebody's name, take my face off of it. Don't take it away from the community. Take a name off of it, because it's not about me. People make it about me, and people make it about Councilman Gutierrez. So that's the only issue I have in the budget. I think that, we work for the taxpayers, and this is their money, and we should have things to entertain and entertain them in the city where they live. That's all I have.
Councilman Mears. Councilman Mears.
Yes, I'm one of the ones that signed the letter that Ms. Wells is talking about. The nature of my signature is that the funding needs to come from outside, some of it from for the city. I personally don't mind parties or dances or hoopahs or whatever you have, but we're not up here to social leaders. We're up here to take care of business of the city. Now, it's fine for me to have the parties and do whatever, but we need to find some other way to bring in some revenue for these kind of parties. It's not, it may be in leisure, it may be wherever, but it's not the city's position to have a party every weekend or every other weekend or once a month or whatever. We need the people that have the most parties and have the things get outside resources and bring into the city, and it saves the city that much money. You see how much, I've been here almost 8 years, and the best I can remember, the budget has just about doubled since I've been on this council. Now, I know wages and this and that and the other goes up, and we got to have all these things, but you got to find some kind of resources other than the city resources to put on some of these activities. That's the only reason that I brought it up and I signed the letter. I go along with the budget. It's a little bit, I think, high, but we're a growing city. We got a lot of needs. We got a lot of things we got to pass. But you can't keep the budget down, but in lieu of Mrs. Wells's comments, it's fine to have activities, but we got to find other resources to sponsor them. The city is just can't be a big party city all the time. We need to get help. They need to get help. Bring some people in here that wants to do it and go with them and take care of the parties. Thank you.
So my question is, of the 46 vacant positions in PD, how many of them are designated for officers? Chief?
Chief, do you have that number? Yeah. Can you see if you?
Yes. Wait, no, hold on.
Oh, okay. Okay.
My next question is about PD as well. So we can repeat it when he comes back. But these accounts that PD has can fund some of the items that they're requesting, i.e. their vehicles, and whatever else. I don't have the actual budget in front of me. So what would we have to do to move the money out of the general fund and so they could use those specific line items for some of these items?
Well, Mayor, it's not necessarily moving the funds. It's the certain accounts that the PD have with forfeiture and certain things that they do confiscate during certain criminal activities. Once it goes through the forfeiture process, that money is then turned over to the city and to be used under law for police training and equipment purposes. So it's not necessarily saying you take those items out of the budget to do that, but what you're doing is instead of requesting, let's say, instead of requesting $300,000 to purchase police vehicles from the general fund, it's just a matter of the department coming forth to the council, basically to state that there is X number of dollars in this particular fund, forfeiture, treasury, whichever one it is that is chosen to be using. And this is where the 300,000 will come from, and they would just be asking for your approval to purchase the money. It's out of there, which means that that is just one of those line items in the general fund that you can take and reallocate that money to do another thing, such as possibly buying a new ambulance or one of the other items.
Okay. Well, my question about the officer vacancies is kind of along with what Councilwoman Wells, I believe, was alluding to. If they have X amount of vacant officer positions, why give additional when we still need to fill those positions? And if those positions need to be reclassified or whatever for the specific unit, then we may need to look at that as well. I think we need to fill the vacancies, and then if we need to add more, then we'll add more positions. And we'll just, I guess, come back and get that answer when he comes back.
Are you still going down the road?
Yes, another round, Councilwoman James.
So my question had to do with the courts, Dr. Cooper. I don't think you touched on that,
Yes, ma'am.
the new positions in the courts.
Yes, the courts actually, and the city attorney and I discussed that the courts would be separated. If the budget is approved, and I think it's all under the same ordinance, that would, and it's just for sake of continuity, that the council would be approving the budget to separate the courts and make them their own department. The courts are fully funded with their own department. They have all their job descriptions because a lot of them, they share, like, so for example, the court clerk and different things is shared with the PD. So with that said, there is enough work just for the courts alone to keep a clerk busy for a full day, as well as PD. So that courtware software that you see that we're asking the council to approve they would basically both be working in the same system and basically running tickets and citations and dockets and everything through that system from one to the other. So we do have all those positions there, and I think that only adds 3 additional positions for the court if it's created.
Okay, so,
Yes.
so I'm looking at the proposed organizational chart for the municipal court and environmental court division. And I see the new is the court administrator. And then under the court administrator is the court clerk. 2 new court clerk positions. And I don't know if you have it with you, but it's this one that we received. So this is, I just want to make sure I'm understanding. This is in addition to the clerks that we have right now in PD, because as I understood it at the retreat, they need their own,
Yes.
still need their own court clerk.
Mhm.
This is.
In addition,
so-
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
That makes sense.
Councilman Antoine?
No, he answered my question.
Okay, Councilman Gutierrez, Councilwoman Wells?
Yeah, so I think this question was more so for Mike, but I want to I'm directing it to you, but I want to respond to what
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Mears said. It's not a party every weekend. And just because you don't do certain things doesn't mean those aren't things that the community doesn't like to do. So Fun Fridays are once a month. I think Food Truck Fridays are once a month. Forest Park Day is once a year, and that's for the entire community. And it's not a party, it's a live band and bouncy houses for kids, and it's vendors, and it's food trucks and small businesses advertising their businesses. So when you say a party, I wouldn't say that. So again, it's not a whole lot of money. Yes, the budget has went up, but it's definitely not because of events, because we still have to get sponsors on top of the money that the city gives. So $5,000 for a Fun Friday, $8,000 for one celebration of the year for all of the residents in Forest Park is not a lot of money. And so my question to you, Mike, as far as the ward meetings, because if we're gonna get technical, then we're gonna get technical. So as far as the ward meetings, and then keep Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 beautiful, and the fact that we have our names and pictures on those signs, is all of that gonna be cut out? Because a ward meeting is an event as well, so we can't even give our citizens the information we need to give them because people don't want people's names on stuff or advertising a certain way. We're elected officials, and that's what elected officials do. And I don't feel like, if you look at it, and no disrespect to nobody, but the 3 people that signed off on it are the 3 people who really don't do anything in the community as far as giving the people something to do. So that's my question as far as the ward meetings, because that's all some people do. How is that gonna be impacted? Because that's considered an event as well. So will we not be able to have ward meetings and inform the people on what's going on?
My understanding, and I don't, my understanding, and I don't presume to read the minds of the council members, but it was specific type events, that were listed.
What are the specific events, type of events?
Well, the events that were alluded to in the letter, I don't know that they were all listed out specifically, but the ones that had previously been in the budget and funded specifically, like I'm thinking food trucks, Day of the Dead, those sorts of things that had funding, that was removed. But your award money that you continue to have could be used for some of these other activities that had been going on absent the events.
Okay, so you're speaking on the $4,000 that we get a year
Yes,
to
ma'am.
do events for the year?
Well, to do those activities to support your operation of your office.
Councilman Mears? All right, thank you. And Chief has not come back. So we have public comments. Okay. Oh, goodness, yes. So is there a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 annual budget, ordinance 22-11?
So move.
That was Councilman Antoine. Is there a second?
I'll second.
That was Councilwoman James. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
No.
Councilwoman Wells?
Is this with the events removed?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Public comments. So let me say, we had several people sign up for public comments. But if you are not a Forest Park resident, then there was a 2-week notice prior to today's meeting that needed to have been given. So those that are not residents will not be allotted this opportunity to speak. If you want to make appropriations for the next council meeting, then you're more than welcome to do so. And let me also say that the attorney for Mr. Mr. Waters, I'm sorry, if you wish to schedule a meeting to speak with our attorney, you're more than welcome to do so, but definitely at a council meeting during public comments is not the time. All right, thank you. Yes. Well, for him, we don't yield time. No. If you want to sign up and you can speak 2 weeks from today, you can. But I would recommend you just speak with our city attorney and schedule a meeting. Thank you. Mr. Lawrence, you have 3 minutes, sir. You have the floor. And I think it's.
Good evening, Mayor Butler,
Good
Dr.
evening.
Cooper,
Good
Council.
evening.
I have just a couple of comments about our pending change to Waste Pro. Remember, we were Forest Park, and I think in part of our new agreement here, there's a maximum of 8 bags of leaves. Now, that's kind of a small point, but when I go out and rake leaves, before I think it was 13 bags, and even then I had to put a good bit of them in the carport so it wouldn't get wet for the next week. You might want to consider the numbers there. Also, as we transition from one company to the other, I hope we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. The driver for my street does a great job. Very responsible young man. His name's Brandon. They pick up the trash. They're there on the right days. Sometimes they're there before sun comes up. They've been there at night after the sun goes down with flashlights, picking up the trash. They don't drop anything. They don't run into anything. They do what they're supposed to. So I hope there is somewhere in this transition that they will, employ the current folks in the new company if we happen to go with them. The other thing that we haven't mentioned here is a transfer station. Who's going to be responsible for that? Is the new company going to take all the rats with them? Are they going to not worry about them or just what? But I think we do need to, at least address that problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Falami. Ms. Falami?
Greetings, everyone. I'm here to kind of thrown with this budget before me, and the taxpayers, for whatever reason, did not have an opportunity to review it online. I feel some kind of way in myself. I don't think it's fair. I'm hearing a lot of unfairness up here today. Maybe it's me. When it comes to our events in our community, I think it should be up to the community, to strip out events like the Fun Friday, our cultural events, which bring out stakeholders and people of color we don't basically see in this room. I think it's ludicrous. I think it's not being fair to the taxpayer. Let me get over to the recycling part. I've been in this city for almost 45 years, and I've been recycling ever since recycling came. I worked diligent with wildlife science with the Forest Park High School to teach the youth about recycling. What you have today with EarthLink comes off of what I started with my colleagues in the beginning. I bought them here before you. We have educational funds. Right now, our EarthLink program need funding. Find our money and give it to our students. Let me move on because I got great news. My volleyball team did make the championship. I wanted to give some kudos out. I got to shift my atmosphere. I want to thank Mr. Jonathan, who really gave me a fabulous donation to take my kids down to the water park. Jazzy Hair Salon, Judy Taylor, who purchasing all the trophies. Psalms Shopwise, who sponsoring the food. So if you want to move the budget around a little bit, how about doing it with leisure? Because I'm volunteering for over 35 years and I have to get out and solicit it and ask my stakeholders to help us where we have the budget, if we adjust it right, to have that where when they win a championship, we should have someone in the city can receive our children. First thing first. I just think a lot of things are getting out of hand, won't never get back right. People want the fun, give them the fun. People want to be able to celebrate their way. They the taxpayer, let them choose what they want to do. Nobody say when you all gonna retrieve behind gates, locked gates, and we can't get in. Let the people make a decision sometime. Before I sit down, I'm gonna say this, and then I may have to leave early because I am coaching the summer league. So I want to say this, you guys got to pull it together, represent us. As we sit here and listen to y'all tell us that shh and hush, we want you all to hush and go in that room back there. Sit down like adults and represent all of us who give you all our money to serve us. I yield my time.
Thank you. Ms. Davis?
Whoa, this one time I'm loving following Ms. Palami. So I have a long list and I gotta talk really fast because that clock is moving. So the first thing is on the waste recycling situation. Recycling when it goes to the landfill is just kind of wasting your time. But organic waste is the heaviest. So we thought about some composting and doing some things differently. And that's in the broader area of sustainability, which I have brought up to the council over and over. And I think that our city attorney can stipulate for that. We need a Forest Park sustainability plan. There's a climate action plan. There's a clean energy forward-looking plan. And so that's my one thing. The next thing is with all that public safety stuff, and I'm sorry, Chief is not here, but last I checked, there's some like mental instability rolling around. And I didn't hear that in the budget at all. And I have lived long enough to know that we can't police ahead of crime. So we have to have some other new solutions. I think that Councilman Gutierrez has done some things with young people, but young people and mental health services need to be in the Forest Park budget because I myself can vouch for the fact that I'm a little bit different. So I might need those services on occasion. So moving forward, the other thing, I want to thank Timon for bringing the machine because, you know, now I can take my mask off and not feel like, you know, I'm on the short list for a short time. So thank you very much, Timon, and any buildings that we can get them in, we must do that. I have the reason why I jumped up, Councilman Mears. So you,
Ma'am, just direct your comments to the chair, please.
okay, Madam Chair, so Councilman Mears, okay, doesn't seem to understand that when people come together, the only way that I know my neighbors, because I tend to stay in my house and I'm very happy there. If I do not come out to a Forest Park event, I don't know the neighbors and their children. My safety, and I think Chief can vouch for this, the more eyes we have on one another and the more we look out and extend to one another. But for the events, I won't know some of these folks. Now we can talk about what type of events and how frequent, but to take that out of a $30 million budget, are we really? Really? Y'all need to back that up, rework that, Madam Chair, and I'm saying that for our city manager, who may not know how hard before you sat in the chair we had to have Forest Park Day to make it possible for some of y'all to sit there.
Man.
So we need to reconsider what's happening up
Amen.
in here.
Yeah. Amen.
Mr. Waters.
Mm.
Madam Mayor. Mayor,
Oh, yes, sir.
are we gonna have a chance to rebut some of this?
Well, during your closing comments, if you want to say something, you can.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here again because I'm the owner of the property at 5370. I came here before you guys and y'all approved me to have a school and a church on that property. The mayor vetoed my school and my daycare for hearsay. I want to say that the trucks that was on that property, I own them trucks. If you look the trucks up, the trucks never had tags. The trucks never ran. I thought I was doing the right thing by putting trucks on something that I own. Not in some other yard, but something I own. I'm hurt because 33 years of living in Forest Park, you know what I'm saying? I can't put a business where I've been here for 33 years. Not just moved here and just landed here. I've been here for 33 years. I don't coach in the park. I don't gauge kids, help them go to college, help them pay through college. Now I bring something back to help the community and you shutting it down because hearsay? That's embarrassing, that's hurting. That's hurting. Because I in this community, everybody knows Waters don't gave it all. I went and sat with the mayor 2 Thursdays ago, and I gave her the information. And she said I did not give her information about the school. She went and found the information. The information was there. She said that I got a fine. Yes, I did get a fine. But do you go back and look at the records? The week before I came in here to you guys, that guy told me, if you do not have the right to have the choice there, before you come to court on the 5th, before you come in at 3 o'clock, make sure the trucks is removed. When I walked in that room, them trucks was gone. It's hurting for someone to take something from you that you work hard for. I came back to a community and bought some of the community I've been here for 33 years. And for her to take it away from me because what she heard, not that she walked in and said, I see you doing something wrong. When y'all told me I couldn't have no other church and school, every business in that building was gone. We were getting ready to start school for the next year. Again, it's hurting. It's very, 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 very heartening that you can't depend on people that you pay taxes to. I got a business that I'm paying taxes on, and I can't have what I love doing. That's educating Black kids, or kids in general. That would hurt the most. And for her to veto it because what she heard is wrong.
Yeah. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda as is? That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second? That was Councilman Antoine. All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you. Approval of the minutes. Has everyone reviewed the work session minutes and the regular minutes from May 2nd and our special call meeting on May 23rd? Yes. Mhm. What's your name?
She lives in Clayton, she lives in Forest Park and has lived there 12 years. She attends to all of the events. She and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren go to every concert, to most of the games.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if I could represent, make a comment on it.
Do you live in Forest Park? Okay, so that's a no. So you, and there's some others in the same position. You can make provisions with our city clerk and come back in 2 weeks. Thank you. Oh, wait, no. I don't have it in here. Oh, okay, yeah. No, ma'am. So is there, the minutes?
Madam Mayor, I make a
Yes, ma'am.
motion that we approve the minutes for May the 2nd work session and regular meeting and the special call meeting on the 23rd.
All right, that was Councilwoman James.
Oh,
Is
I'm
there a
sorry,
sec-
and the 16th.
No, we already turned in the sheets.
Second.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells? And
Yes.
Councilman Mears?
Yes.
All right, new business, council adoption of short-term rental ordinance 22-10. Is there a motion to accept this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Madam Mayor,
Council-
the motion would need to include with provision for an annual establishment of the fees by the mayor and council.
So it wasn't seconded, so do we have to restate it?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. The
Well, yeah,
motion
you
would
have
be
to
in
do the
order
motion.
to approve the adoption of the short-term rental ordinance with the provision of the council setting the fees on a regular basis.
Okay.
I'll revise my motion to said motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Council approval. Approval of the waste management contract extension.
I make a motion that we table this item.
No, this is waste management. We're on number 6. Oh, no, I skipped Waste Pro. Okay, sorry. Let's back up here. Council approval of Waste Pro contract.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make a motion that we table this
Okay, there's a
item.
motion to table. Councilwoman James, is there a second?
Second. Second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Abstain.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Contract approval of the waste management contract extension. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
A second.
That was Councilman Gutierrez. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Council approval of an IGA intergovernmental agreement on joint crime suppression team. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Councilwoman James, is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Antoine, any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman
Yes.
Wells? And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Item 8, council approval to accept adoption donation, oh my goodness, from the Timberline Corporation for indoor air quality. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That was Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
Yes.
That was Councilman Antoine. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Council approval on the purchase of courtware software, Justice One. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
That's Councilwoman James. Is there a second?
A second.
That was Councilman Mears. Any further discussion? Councilwoman James?
Yes.
Councilman Antoine?
Yes.
Councilman Gutierrez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wells?
Yes.
And Councilman Mears?
Yes.
Thank you. Closing, oh, Chief?
According to our records, we have approximately about 37 vacant positions at this time.
That are officers.
No, about approximately 25 of the officers.
25. Closing comments, Councilwoman James.
Thank you everyone for coming out. We're looking forward to moving forward in our next budget. We got some great things happening in the city of Forest Park. Don't worry, have recreation and leisure. Don't worry, we'll be fine. We just need to get policies and processes in place. And when we get policies and processes in place, certain individuals in the community won't come to me and say, we're using city money to promote individuals. That's not what we want to do. We want to do our job, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you.
Councilman Antoine.
Yes, thank you for everybody that came. I see the new faces. I want to give a shout out to the new employees that joined the All-Star team. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dabuz. I represent Ward 2. I'm more than welcome to serve youth, never mature. The events that we're talking about, folks, let me get everything clear, okay? Events are still gonna be happening. Director Maxwell back there is here. Does a wonderful, wonderful job. The community's still gonna come out to these events. It's gonna be events. So you gotta make it clear, like, what I signed wasn't to stop events, period. Maxwell is a thinker. He has great imaginations. There's gonna be great events for the kids, the family. Forest Park's still gonna be #1 city in Clayton County. Okay, I signed it because I have events that was canceled. It's all of us here. We canceled all of our events so we can make the budget look better for us. Okay, but in terms of events that's going on, the recreation department is going to be doing it. And if you want to see something, Maxwell, please raise your hand. He has 2 ears for a reason. All right, we love you guys. God bless.
Councilman Gutierrez.
Yeah, shout out to the new people. Welcome to the family. I am open here to hear any new ideas you may have or anything whenever you're needed. I just want to also just commend our staff for the Asian Heritage Festival that we had at the park. The shirts are designed by 2 high school students that are going to SCAD now, so that was amazing. I got saved everybody a shirt up here with our council aides, which also did an outstanding job in reaching out to the community and walking into the diverse businesses that we have here. It was a first-time trial for us. We unfortunately don't have an Asian population, our employees that reflects our population. Neither we have a Hispanic population with our employees that reflects our population, but I think we're making strides to, amend that with Dr. Cooper and our directors. Our Food Truck Friday event was amazing. We have a new champ, the taco eating champ of Forest Park is Mr. Naheem Williams, Miss Victoria's son. He ate 8 tacos in 3 minutes. He beat one of our firefighters who ate 7 tacos in 3 minutes. So he was a strong second though. I think he got too cocky and then ate a hot sauce one. But still, it was just a good time to be out there with the community. I'm very proud to announce that we have launched a scholarship in partnership with Mr. Rashmir's family in honor of his legacy. Before he passed away, I came to him and I mentioned to him that the need for something like that for us, for Forest Park High School students, specifically for them. So we started two cash scholarships for 2 of our Forest Park High School students, one for $1,500 and another one for $1,000. We are partnering up with United Voices Foundation, just to be clear, and that way the money doesn't come to the city and then we're giving out the money. I followed our attorney's advice on that. So thank you, Mr. Rashmir, Mr. White, and United Voices for having this. The links are in my social media. If you know any Forest Park High School students that want to apply, they're more than welcome. Miss Davis, I think she left, but thank you for the education on the recycling. Sometimes people say recycling, and I am not a guru with environmental awareness, but I definitely want to have a sustainability plan and making sure that we are, moving forward and not living, making the carbon footprint bigger than it is. And then just lastly, I am slightly disappointed in the council here, even though my colleague here said that his events were canceled. None of the other events were canceled from any of them because none of their events were in that budget item, except for myself, the mayor, and Councilwoman Wells. Yes, we do have events, but they are not pertaining to specific communities. They're not cultural events. Not that Director Maxwell can't probably have them. We definitely can go to him, but the fact that we really didn't have a conversation about it, about this specifically, when I reached out to people to talk about this, and as elected officials, like we said, we're supposed to be here to move the needle forward, represent the people, regardless if we disagree. I'm not taking none of this personal. Like, this stays here. I'm out. I'll dab any of y'all up. Like, we're cool. There's nothing personal. It just hurts me because like you said, this is for people that don't usually come out, like they said. The Asian Festival, it was full of, people from our community that are never out for none of the events. That I had a hard time communicating with most of them, but they were out there and they felt represented. They had a shirt representing the Year of the Tiger, a whole bunch of vendors that were approached by the city for the first time, educated a lot of the community on what the council is, what the city elected officials was. These are people that live here in our community that we need to make sure that we represent with things like this. So that's that. And, just for our council, make sure that I saw a quote that reminded me of this, not that long ago, other people were oppressed. So when you have power, you have the ability to do good for others. So don't ever forget that. And others means everybody that you represent. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. It's a big crowd. Making sure you enjoy your summer. I'm currently teaching summer school, unfortunately. I got bamboozled to do that, but it is what it is. I'm glad I have the children to just balance this out because I'm a little hurt today, to be honest with you. But thank you, everybody.
Councilwoman Wells.
Hello, I would like to say thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate you, and huge shout out to our fire department. Like, I'm just really proud of you guys, and congratulations to everyone. I didn't know there was a ceremony because nobody told me, but congratulations and welcome to the new employees. So what I will say, and I agree with Councilman Gutierrez, because at this point, it's like you're fighting a losing battle when you actually one of the people that come in here and try to give back to the community and do good things in the community. You have some people that just don't care. And you have some people that base decisions off of personal feelings. And everybody know certain people aren't a fan of Councilwoman Wells, but I don't care. I'm here for the people. I represent the people, and I'm gonna do what's right by the people. So yes, we will still have Fun Friday, because I will get sponsors because I'm all about my community. And what Councilman Antoine said, his events were taken out. I've never known him to have an event. I know his name to be put on the flyer because of the rec department, but I've never known him to have an event. So it didn't bother him. I never known Councilwoman James to have an event. Never known Alan Mears to have an event. So I just think people need to take their personal feelings out of it and think about who got you here. Because I agree with Ms. Davis. We had Forest Park Day when the mayor was elected, and I took her around and introduced her to the different citizens of Forest Park, which helped get her elected. So these events matter to our community. They may not matter to you because you don't attend them or you don't care about the community that put you in place, but we work for the people. So when we make decisions, when y'all make decisions like that, you should get input from the people that put you in these positions, because you don't work for yourself. You work for the residents of Forest Park. The same people that put you here can take you out. So I think some people just want to be empowered and they want to control everything. And when somebody is made to look better than them, then that's an issue for them. And so we got to stop that. So I just hope the people know and the people see, and that your eyes are open, and we can put money in the budget for this and this and that, but the community is not worth $5,000 for 5 months. $5,000 for 5 months, and we have a $34 million budget, but we allocate money for positions, and we have 40-something positions in certain in departments, 20-something positions in other departments, but we'll reallocate money for them, but damn the citizens. Like, let's be real, and y'all can do whatever y'all gonna do, and it don't matter, because at this point it's ridiculous, and y'all are really sad. And it's embarrassing to even be sitting up here with a group of people that don't care nothing about nobody but themselves and how they're gonna look, or they have yo-yos, people controlling them, so they got to do certain things to please other people. I don't work for nobody other than the residents of Forest Park, and I'm gonna continue to be a voice for the people of Forest Park, whether y'all like it or not, because that's what I was elected to do. So again, to take community events from the people because you don't want to see somebody's face, well, you're going to see me. You might not be on the flyer, but you're going to see me. And that flyer doesn't make me, and that flyer doesn't make Councilman Gutierrez. But all of the things that he do, and I just told him the other day that I was at an event, none of them were there. These are Forest Park sponsored events. None of them were there, but y'all want to control it? You want to control it? Like, let's be real. So yeah, they may have 4 more years or 3.5 more years, but y'all got to be smart when it's time to vote. It starts right here locally. It starts right here locally. You got to be mindful of the people you put in place because you have some that just, and you pay attention that are controlled. That's going to go along with certain people because they have something hanging over their head. Well, ain't nobody got nothing on me. And I'm going to say what I got to say. And you can file an ethics complaint and you can do all that. I don't care because I work for the people. I'm going to speak my voice and I'm going to be transparent. And I'm going to let the people know that y'all dirty. And y'all don't care about the people because if you cared, you wouldn't take things from our community. You got a councilman sitting right here that took money and he was censored.
Councilwoman Wells.
He took money and he was censored. But again, this the one time, oh, this is gonna go on, this is gonna go on. Yeah, you're being controlled because people have stuff dangling over your head because you took that money and you admitted and nothing happened, but you want to sign a piece of paper to take something from our community. You just in a taking move. No, it really messes with me because I'm from this community. I grew up in this community. You got, and I'm gonna keep saying that because you got people that move here to run for office, that want to make it about them. You got people that want to send money over to their country and make it about them, but you want to take from the people that put you in place. Y'all should be embarrassed.
Councilman Mears.
I don't have any rebuttal to that.
Sure you don't.
It was a good statement, but the situation that I want to talk about is I don't care what kind of events and things that we have here, but you got to get sponsors. You got to have I lived in Forest Park before Wells was born.
You right.
So she can't tell me about anything about Forest Park hardly. She probably could tell me a lot, but I don't care about it. But the comment to the lady that I had was on some of your events, anything that we have in here for the city that's for the city and for the people of Forest Park is fine. But just any given time, these hip hops or whatever they call them, they have, you ride around and look.
Wow.
Look at the car tags.
Wow.
That lady that just left said her neighbors come and do this and do that. Her neighbor lives in Fulton County, DeKalb County. Just ride by and look at the tags. That's all I gotta say. Just look at the tags. Thank you.
Mayor, can I say one more thing? I'm not responding to that. I promise I'm not responding to that.
Yes.
I just want to let you all know the first Fun Friday is June 17th at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. And we will have Ear Candy Band coming out to play. And we will have bouncy houses out for the kids. We will have food trucks and vendors coming to promote their business. And look at the car tags. It's good when people come from different communities to celebrate your community. It's a
Ma'am,
great
you
thing.
just said you
So you
wasn't
all
going
have a
to.
good night.
Okay, my comments first, about the transfer station. The transfer station is owned by Waste Management. So regardless of who has the contract, they still have to go through Waste Management. And from what I understand, Waste Pro has had an agreement with Waste Management to use their transfer station. So there's still going to be issues around the transfer station and we're still trying to figure out how to work out. About the school, I did have a meeting with the representative from the schools. There were a lot of things that were unclear initially, but even after the meeting, there was one document that I asked for that I have yet to receive. Ma'am, no, now is not the time. And so I've been waiting on that since the meeting and it has yet to be received. I've been notified of, no, we are not doing this. Officer, please, we are not doing this. Well, stop. So until then, my veto stands. And we do have executive session. So is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and enter into an executive session for personnel, litigation, real estate, or legal matters?
So moved.
Councilwoman James, is there a second? That was Councilman Gutierrez. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the executive session and reconvene into a regular meeting?
So moved.
Councilwoman Davis, is there a second? Councilman Antoine, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yes, Councilwoman James, is there a second? That was Councilman Antoine, all in favor?
Aye.
Right, thank you.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.